Alright, so here we are. We've been sent down to the Dust Bowl to take out some gnolls to kind of quell the attack at Sentinel Hill. Not a problem. We can take care of these guys with our Murder of Crows. Murder of Crows was a good decision. Like, they just come flying in and just go nuts. It definitely speeds up the process for sure, which is what it's all about. I've learned so much just like this past time doing rotation guides and stuff like that. Just like the basics, you know, and talents. Because, like, you know, like I always say, my guides are not focused necessarily on raiding. They're focused on generalized class gameplay. And so, like, that can change up a lot depending on what your situation is. So you use different talents for raiding and different talents for leveling. And different talents for PvP. So, like, it really helps you appreciate why there are so many different talents in the game. And that it's not like a lot of people think, oh, they add 3, but 2 of them are pretty much useless all the time. No, not at all. Some of them are very useful depending on what situation you're in, and you have to be open to try them out and learn what those situations are and when you would want to use those. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So now we're going to take out Django. That's not his name. But yeah, we're going to take out Django, the leader of the Riverpaw gnolls. But we all know that he has been getting his orders from someone else, and that is Helix. And we're going to go meet up with him next. We're going to meet up with Agent. I can't remember her name. I want to say Kindly, but that's not it. That's the gnome that died in Jaina's hometown that doesn't exist anymore. Theramore, that's it. You guys remember Theramore? Beautiful place. Beautiful place. Why do the Alliance always get screwed over and have their land destroyed? Is it because we Horde are just a bunch of jerks? I feel like that's basically what it is. Look at that. We leveled up to 32. We are just cruising right along here, aren't we? Alright, it's pretty sweet. You know, I haven't done any dungeons yet. But I like leveling up. I like doing, I should say I like leveling up. I can level up in dungeons. But I like questing. I like questing in the zones. I don't know, it's just like... just fun. I mean, dungeons would be fun too, I'm sure. But we'll get into those eventually, maybe. Maybe we will. We'll see. Alright, well, we got to kill still. Got a couple more to kill. Yeah, I hate when it's like, kill 5 of these and then 5 of these, and then you never find the other ones. Like, you find the ones that you need to kill, but then the other ones are, like, always, like, hidden. There's one. I think that might be 2, actually. It's kind of neat, like, seeing some of these other races, like, you know, because, like, a lot of these other races, like Trogs and Gnolls, it's like, how much intelligence do they actually have? Like, they have enough intelligence to be mages and shamans, right? So, like, will they ever be a playable race? Like, the big thing in this game nowadays is to kind of, like, speculate or dream about if a race has 2 feet and can use spells or can talk, then clearly it needs to become an allied race. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the way it happens, but it definitely gives Blizzard an endless supply of races to add to the game and sell you on. So, you know, that's always good. Alright, so here we go. We've got Agent... that's why I can't remember her name. Kiernan. Yeah, so she's going to help us. She got her sniper rifle, Claire. That name was easy to remember. Yes, she names her sniper rifle. And we're going to walk in here. She's going to cover us, as you can see. Any minute now. Any minute now. Hey, Kiernan. There you go. Hey, get this one too. There you go. Good job. Jeez. I didn't think she's going to help us. Alright, now we can go in stealth mode. Sneak into the top of the tower. And get more Metal Gear style investigations going on. Man, you know, I keep mentioning Metal Gear because this zone always reminds me of it because of, like, the kind of quest you're doing. You're kind of like playing the role of a secret agent, spy, or whatever. And, man, that makes me miss Metal Gear. Like, the old Metal Gear. Like, Metal Gear Solid 1. I played the crap out of that game. It's, like, one of my favorite classic games. And you know what? The last one, even though it was, like, kind of unfinished, it was pretty darn good. And it's a shame how that whole thing went down. Like, with, Hideo Kojima. Like, freaking, if you're out there listening to this, do not buy Metal Gear Survive. That game is a spit in the face to fans that love Metal Gear. It's just like a cheap cash-in. It doesn't deserve to exist, and Konami should be ashamed of themselves. Like, it's such a heartbreaker, man, because, like, literally Metal Gear used to be my absolute favorite franchise. Like, nothing touched it. Like, it got me through, the first Metal Gear Solid got me through such a hard time in my life. You have no idea. and like I loved that game so much, and like I had like emotional connection to it. Like, and then like 2 and 3 were really freaking good. 2 was okay, 3 was really good, and then 4 was emotionally, like, just emotionally charged. And then well, we survived. And then the last one, 5, was really good too. It just wasn't like fully finished, but it was still a lot of fun. Like, I've played through it twice. So I played through the first Metal Gear like I don't know how many times. I lost count, like so many times. Whoa, you guys are still there. All right, that's cool. Get him, Kiernan. But, you know, it's just really sad how that whole thing went down. I'm glad that other developers, like Blizzard, listen to their fans and give fans what they actually want. Like, good for you guys. So, yeah, anyways, that's my, I don't know, eulogy of Metal Gear, I suppose. But now we're going to go back to Sentinel Hill to turn in this quest. To Moonbrook. Alright, here we are in Moonbrook, and this is where I think things really started to get interesting, especially for this whole quest line, because we're going to go in here and we have to find this propaganda that these thugs have been leaving behind. And I remember the old Moonbrook had a really interesting quest line too, because like a lot went on with the Defias Brotherhood, and then the I think there was some Legend of Stalvin quests that went on here too. I remember a specific escort quest that if you were on a PvP server, it really sucked, because like people would come here, Horde and Alliance, to do dungeons, and you get picked off all the time if you're trying to do that quest line. That sucked so much. But man, this place gives me so much nostalgia. I remember this being like one of the first big areas in the game, like besides Goldshire if you were Alliance, but like there was so much going on around here. It was so neat. All right, we need to take out these guys, because I think they drop off their bandanas, which gives us another quest to do. So yeah, one of the things that's really hard about doing the quests and the story is some of these items that you get, there it is, from quests actually is some stuff that you can read, which provides more of a story. Like these pamphlets and things that I'm picking up here. One in particular was the one I got off the ground here, which kind of talks about how the whole incident at the Furlbrow farm with the 4 thugs, that it kind of portrays those guys as decent dudes that were just trying to feed homeless people, and it portrays you as the bad guy who came and killed them mercilessly and killed 2 Shu Lu. So like it shows you like there's so much of you being integrated into the story. It happened in Elwyn Forest as well with the princess. So it's just kind of like a neat like thing where you kind of get subtly integrated into the story, if I can get my words out. And then of course this one here tells the whole story of how the whole goal here is to resurrect the Defias Brotherhood. So sometimes, man, if you really take the time and read stuff, like read the items or books that are laying around, you might find some pretty good lore. Unfortunately, I think part of what's hard for me is that I just don't even realize that it's there, that it's an option, because my vision, I just don't see it. And sometimes, honestly, it's not my vision, it's just that I'm not paying attention. So, you know, sometimes I just need to pay more attention. But, yeah, there's a lot of story that you can find just by doing the quests, and not only reading the quest text, but like paying attention to the objectives and to the surrounding area and what you can find out that's going on. So now that we've got our evidence, we're going to take it back up here to the camp, and then we will head back down. I know what's coming next. Probably the most, in my opinion, well, the second most memorable scene. Like I said, this is kind of where the story is reaching its conclusion. We're getting there, that is. So now we're going to go back to town here, Moonbrook. Again, it's also nice to see Moonbrook. It's kind of dilapidated at this point, but it has such a little bit of a civilization. My words today cannot be spoken very clearly, and you can see now that these poor people are being taken advantage of in their poverty and in their, starvation. They're being rallied to fuel someone else's agenda, and so oftentimes that's exactly what happens. I think, not to get all philosophical, not to demonize any country or army, but I think that happens so much. These people's anger is obviously misplaced, but hey, then again, here they are. They're not getting any help. The king is sitting comfortably in his castle right over that way. One way, if I can get, yeah, right over that way. And here these people are starving. So one has to ask themselves, how good is a king if his own people are suffering so much? And if there's so many of them as well. Like, it just seems, kind of sad. Like, you're an alliance, you've got so many allies, you've got so much resources, and yet here these poor people are starving. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that says about the alliance, but it's a question. I don't know if they ever fully answer it either. What exactly has triggered all these people to be driven out of Stormwind and into starvation? Is it just, was it the war? Was it the cataclysm? Was it both? And why exactly can't the Alliance help these poor people out? Or are they trying to? I don't know if that ever gets addressed, at least not in Westfall. But what it does lead to is a very angry group that reforms as the Defias Brotherhood, led by Vanessa Von Cleef, who has her own reasons to be upset. And they're actually a lot more valid than a lot of other villains, I think. It's a really cool, like I said, it's a really cool story. But then again, Edwin Von Cleef kind of had somewhat of a valid reason to be angry. So, it's a sympathetic villain, right? I think that's pretty cool. You kind of like, each expansion has its own main villain, and you tend to forget that there are other smaller storylines going on here, and they're pretty cool. They're pretty good if you pay attention to them, and if they're used properly, they can become a pretty good, bunch of stories. Like Lillian Voss is another good character. There are so many compelling characters in this game, both on the heroes and villains for Alliance and Horde. Very compelling storylines that aren't just, hey, here's the big bad guy, go kill that. Here's the Legion. Here's the Void. There's so much more to it than that, and I think it's really neat. Again, all things that you discover when you play through the zones and read the story and learn the story. So we got to follow the homeless people here, and I think for the first time ever, I got straight here without getting lost. So good for me, right? And we're going to go in here, and we are going to see a vision, right? And see what's going on here. So we actually get to go inside the dungeon. We're not actually going to do the dungeon. We're just going to go in and use an item. So here we go. We use the item now, and it takes us... This is really cool. So we'll just make it a little bit easier to see what's going on here. Best just to zoom in and see what's going on. So this means so much more if you've played the game before Cataclysm. If you haven't, then this doesn't mean too much. And I remember having my fiance was watching this video, the video I did the story, because she actually likes to see the story for this game. Even though she doesn't play it, she's not really a gamer. But this part right here, I had to explain to her. It didn't mean as much to her because she didn't play the game as back in the day or at all. And so this is like such a significant scene because these are adventurers who came into the dungeon, into the Dead Mines, to take out Edwin Von Cleef. And, of course, as you know, those adventurers oftentimes were you and I, if you played the game. And so it's like kind of like a nostalgic trip down memory lane to when we used to fight Edwin Von Cleef at the end of Dead Mines. And now, Dead Mines has changed, and that old Dead Mines is gone. It'll be neat to come back here when they add in WoW Classic to do old Dead Mines again. That'll be really cool. And something, that we get to experience all over again. Speaking of WoW Classic, I haven't heard a lot of news on that. I hope that it's still underway, and I hope that we're getting close to it, because that will be so much fun. And I saw another idea that I'm not saying they should do this over WoW Classic, but man, like having Chromie in each area, or at least having a Bronze Dragon in each area to kind of switch the zones between Classic and Cataclysm. And here she is, Vanessa Van Cleef. So sad. Sees her dad get decapitated in front of her. So sad. But having like a Chromie to sort of like change the world, I think would be a really good idea. And that way you could have both in the same game. Not that you shouldn't have WoW Classic as well, because then you get to play the game a different way. But man, I think that would be so cool. But for now, we need to get back into where is that place? We need to get back to Sentinel Hill. So I'm going to hearth out of here, and then I'm going to fly over there, and I will meet you guys on the other side. Alright, so we're going to report to Marshal Gryan. Is it Gryan or Gryan? Either way, we're going to report to Marshal Stoutmantle to report on what's going on, and that's when things go down. We're discussing things, and then it gets all too quiet. The gnolls stop attacking. Things get kind of weird, and then Hope steps out of the shadows dramatically and reveals herself to be none other than Vanessa Van Cleef, new leader of the Defias Brotherhood. Dun, 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 and things go bad. Spoilers, right? So yeah, and then you got everybody's here. Pretty cool, you know, pretty cool stuff. We actually got through that pretty quickly, I think. Pretty neat. And then, of course, it's kind of funny because I hearthed back to Stormwind, and that's exactly where we are about to go. But yeah, it's pretty cool how this all, you know, came about. Reforming the Defias Brotherhood. You know, thinking that the Defias Brotherhood was gone, and yet, bam, here we are. And then, of course, you know, you've got, like, some integration with Northrend, because Gryan was out in Northrend, forming the Westfall Brigade, and, you know, just doing all kinds of stuff in Grizzly Hills. It's just I love the continuity of this game. It's on point. And, you know, and again, this teases up for something that's was to be experienced much later in the game, Heroic Deadmines, where you actually fight Vanessa Van Cleef and believe that you kill her, but obviously we find out that that's not the case. But yeah, the game, Cataclysm especially, did such a good job at teasing later events and just keeping up with the continuity and what goes on around here. It's just so good, man. Like, it's so sad because I remember Cataclysm so well, like, and they worked so hard on the old world, like just revamping leveling, and unfortunately it came at the cost of in-game, and in-game suffered quite a bit because of it, because there wasn't much to do, and of course you had people who had max level characters and weren't looking to level up. Wait a minute, what am I doing? Hang on a second. Fine, Captain. Oh, geez, we could have left a long time ago. I'm sorry. But yeah, like, you know, like, the end game suffered quite a bit as a result. And so, people like myself, I remember, were very frustrated. Hang on, Stormwind. Because of it. And, you know, you had a very weak end game with very little to do. Dungeons, about it. You had raids. You had Tol Barad, which didn't work out too well. Wasn't exactly the same as Winter Grasp. Yeah, and so it just kind of suffered quite a bit. I feel bad for them because, like, I think, like, when it comes to Cataclysm, like, you know, that's when things kind of went downhill, but I don't think that was the intention. I think they tried really hard to make a good game, and they did, man. Like, like I said, if you play through this old stuff and all the questing that they revamped and all the zones and all the stories that are here, it's such a good experience. And again, unfortunately, a combination of just how leveling was and you know, just to focus on in-game because so many people have been playing for years. I think a reason why it suffered was because most people didn't get to experience that. And of course, if you had the leveling that you have now and a lot of the stuff that's in now with the chapters and keeping track of quests, I think that it would have benefited so much more. So I kind of hope, like, seriously, if you have not taken the time to level and really pay attention to everything that Cataclysm had to offer, now is the chance for you to actually do that and really see what this game really has to offer in the early game. So let's report to the king. Hey, Anduin, will you do me a solid and go back in time and report to your dad that we need more troops in Westfall? Okay, thanks, bye. Alright, and as we return to Westfall, we see that it has been burned down by the TheKephas Brotherhood. Sad story. So much work went into building this place up, and now it's turned into rubble, which is so crazy. But it's going to be fine, because Brian Stoutmantle is going to take care of it, and when the time comes, he's going to call for us, and we're going to go take the fight to Vanessa Von Cleef. And so, for now, that'll be a good place to call it. We'll wrap it up here, you guys, and we will pick up next time. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. You can also subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter at TheKephas to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, this is Kephas, until next time.